It's your girl Jamila with Lay It on the Line, and today I have two special guests, and I cannot wait to dive into some topics with them. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce them. First, this is Miss Tiffany, the poet. Miss Tiffany, go ahead and give us a little bit about yourself, some information.
I run two nonprofits in Houston, Texas, Toiletries for Families and the Arts Advocate. I've been a poet or a freestyle poet for 22 years, and I'm very passionate about the arts. I'm looking forward to all that's coming in this space.
And where can we find information about your nonprofit organizations?
TiffanyScales.com will start, or just hit me up. I'm Googleable.
Can you spell out where they can Google you from?
wrdmtcn.
All right, you guys, you know we're all about supporting each other. Okay, and next we have Mr. OGC. Mr. OGC, tell us something about yourself.
I'm the founder of Zoo Life, which is a clothing line, but it's also like a movement because anybody who lives in America and they're a minority, they live a zoo life because they treat you like an animal, but if the animal gets a little too wild, you will be put back in a cage. So while you're living in America, you live in a zoo life. You will be treated as an animal, but you better be a domesticated animal or you will be caged. So that's why I have Zoo Life, and I'm actually a member of Trill for Life Radio, and just a very media-driven person. My passion is film. I went to Howard University for radio, television, and film, but film is my main focus.
Okay, so being on film or producing film?
Both.
Okay, we might have a Lay It on the Line movie coming soon. All right, so normally we get into hot topics, but we're going to go right past the hot topics. I wanted to double back on one of the shows that we had previously where we had Mr. Casey and Samantha on the show, and it was identifying the problem. I put a poll up on Instagram, on the Lay It on the Line Instagram page, and the question was, should a man be responsible for his child if he and the woman agreed that she wasn't going to have a baby or whatever? Basically, like if a woman trapped a man, lied about being on birth control, should he still be held accountable and responsible for the child? And the polls read 217 responses, and it was a 50-50 tie. And if you don't believe me, you can go on the Instagram page and you can see that it was 50-50.
Now, even though 217 is not 50-50, somebody said no.
I don't know, it says just no 50%. So,
Yeah.
percent. So, some of the questions, I mean, not questions, but some of the statements that they had, I'm going to just run them by you guys.
Okay.
And from a woman and from a man's point of view, I just kind of want to know where you are, and then we're going to get down to the bottom of it, how we can resolve some of these things. So, basically, most of the ones that said the man should still be responsible, whether the girl sat on him and didn't get up, whether she poked a hole in the condom, whether she lied and said that she was on birth control, she couldn't get pregnant if he didn't put the seed in her. So, yes, he should be responsible. They said he should have wrapped it up. It doesn't matter, man up. Those were basically all the comments for the man part. And then when I would rebuttal and say, well, what about if the man wanted the baby and the wife or the girlfriend didn't want the baby? She would have an abortion. What do we say to the man? And it's like, well, once the sperm leaves his body and go to the woman, he don't have no say so. So it's not.
But he got responsibility financially.
He definitely has to be
Okay.
responsible for it still.
That's
Now,
tough.
Samantha did say on the show, like, there should be a waiver or something like that, but we know that in America, they don't have laws for the man if
Right.
the woman aborts his baby. It was basically, no, he shouldn't be. Yes, he should be responsible, and if he didn't want a baby, he should have wrapped it up. So with you being a man, and with you having a man you having a son,
Right.
how would you feel if you knew that somebody did that after you taught your son to use protection?
Knowing the situation and actually having gone through it and being a man, and like being a Christian man, you grow up and you learn that if you follow the laws that you are taught in being a Christian, they kind of supersede man laws. So even if this woman has to make a waiver to where I'm not responsible for that child, in the eyes of that child, when they grow up, they're going to want to know who produced the seed that made me.
Yes.
And they're going to want to know why this guy on the other side of town has never bothered to get to know me, why he's never even tried to spark a conversation with me. So everything that you have part in creating, you have some type of responsibility for it. So anybody you lay down with, first of all, your energy is at bay, because when you lay down with someone, there's something called a succubus that can take your energy and through sexual favors. So if you lay down with anyone, just be prepared to take responsibility for whatever it may be. It may not be KID, it may be AID that you put together. So you just gotta know when you putting your genitals on the line, it's Russian roulette with your life, and you definitely have to take responsibility for whatever. It may not be financial. It may just be a different type of responsibility, but you must be ready for whatever comes from that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people only, when it comes to the man, they only think about the financial part. And that kind of rubs me the wrong way, too, when people think that a dad is only good for his money. Because I feel like, yeah, you still should be responsible for the baby, period, regardless, whatever, just because that child didn't ask to be here. But at the end of the day, I don't need just your money. Like, I'm going to need you to get up and worry about what our kid going to eat for breakfast.
Right.
I'm going to need you to know if he got clothes, if he potty trained, or, if she got some borettes for her hair. And sometimes I feel like the way that they condition the women and the young men in the world, oh, you can have a baby, just file child support. It's more to being a parent than just filing child support.
Absolutely.
But
And because we make it so monetized, I feel like that's where the children have a miscue in identity. And that's why the young men of today don't know how to be a young man, because they don't see a strong man dealing with issues. When we get tired of what's going on, we don't like it, we feel like we've been lied to, we just go. We just run away. That child doesn't know our side of the story. The child doesn't know your mother lied to me. The child doesn't know any of that.
Right.
All they know is we vacated.
Yeah.
And we come off as cowards because we ran from a problem instead of showing that child this is how a man productively and positively works through his emotions. Even though I'm angry with your mother, even though I disagree with how you were brought here, you're here now. And this is what we'll do about it. I don't have to be angry. I don't have to cuss at your mother or disrespect her and lose your respect in the process. But a child has to see that to know that it's even like it can happen.
yeah, it's so much better for them both to get along. So before we dive into that, because you said something that I want to, piggyback on later, but I just want to know from your perspective.
I honestly don't think should is fair. Taking responsibility, I do recommend. I definitely applaud. However, the financial responsibility, I don't think falls on someone who verbally allocates the consent to intercourse. Like that's okay. But if
Right.
you're going to have the responsibility of an agreement and then you have to make an adjustment, I don't think the next step is I'll just file child support, but more so how do we address this scenario and
Right.
move forward from here? Because you have to adjust.
I'm wondering, like, so let's just say this was situation was us hypothetically,
Okay.
and we had the waiver. What if I still wanted to come around and have a relationship with the child? Like, even though I'm not financially obligated, I still want this child to get to know me because they
think they
do
should
have half
still.
of my genes in them,
Yeah.
and they want to understand themselves, and that would be weird too. Because
Wouldn't it be weird to see your kid looking cold in the winter? I mean, like, take the responsibility, but that has to be on you because if it feels forced, then here comes resentment.
But we are, as parents, are too personal. If I'm taking care of this child and you don't have to pay child support, I don't even want you to build this relationship. And that's a
They
big
will
part
come
of
like
us.
that,
We have
yeah.
to understand that we got to get out of self and know that we're building the next generation.
Yeah.
And we need this child to have every resource possible. And that's mother, father, uncle, cousin, neighbor. It takes a
Teacher.
village.
Yeah.
I
And
think
we
we're just too
strip-
comfortable nowadays with accepting or expecting father not to be there.
Yeah.
You have, and I know I say this all the time, like, I blame the media, I blame the music. Like, you have a lot of women, they seem like they're strong, independent women, but they are those things, but what they support and what they're saying is not like it's okay to be with a man, or it's okay to have a spouse, or it's okay
Right.
to have a family. Like, why can't you still be strong and independent and still have a family?
Right.
Like, why can't we have two parents in a household raising a child together? And if one decide like we're toxic together, a lot of men don't understand when you leaving your baby at home with that toxic woman, what you think gonna happen to your child.
Right.
You still need to fight to be there, but the mom needs to stop being the way that she is and thinking that if we're not together, then you don't need to be over here, because whether he leave you, still allow him to come and take care of his child. But what are we seeing on all these reality shows? It's kicking the man out. We gonna go hang out with our friends, and nobody's really worrying about the baby over here. How do we get past that? How do we make it normal that it's okay to not be with the mom and the dad, and we can still have a healthy relationship with dad over here, even if dad don't have money to pay child support?
I think it's through situations just like this. The dialogue helps a lot. Like there needs to be a healthy dialogue between us as black men and black women. We have to look at each other as allies and not as thoughts and
Yeah.
niggas, that sorry ass nigga, that hoe over there. Like, no, she's a female and she's going through the same struggle that you're going through. That's why she's a bit angry
Yeah.
because life is kicking her in the ass just like it's kicking you. So don't be so angry at what she's saying. Just kind of feel her and try to help her through it in the same way that you would ask for the positive reinforcement because that's all I be looking for. Just somebody to feel me. Just don't think of what I'm saying is so outrageous and just try to feel like what preempted him to be so outrageous. Like he didn't come up here as a shock jock. If he's that outrageous, imagine what he went through getting here.
So do you have any advice to a woman that maybe have a child? She's mad at the baby daddy. Maybe they got into it, and she's like, well, he not paying child support, and he's not giving me money, but he still want to be over there with his child. Like, what advice would you give a young woman that think that if I'm not getting no money, he don't need to be a part of his child life?
That's tough.
Not really. I tell her to breathe. I tell her to breathe. I would tell her not to personalize the experience, not to assume he don't care about her or the baby. I would tell her to be mindful of her words because you cannot take them back. And once those words are spoken, they are there.
Yeah.
And I would tell her to do her best. I would let her know the resources like, United Colors Education Center, which is a nonprofit where she can send her children to be tutored and they will be empowered and encouraged and provided for. I would tell her about, Genesis daycare and Acres Homes where she can go send her child no matter where they live, where there is 12-hour care from someone who actually has maternal instincts and can help them. So she can go find her own way because you cannot be dependent upon this father to expect him to be everything, right? Like that's not fair. And as we said earlier, like we don't give you enough, credit for the fact that you don't have so many open doors to open your space of emotion. And it's not too many men who are going to be intelligent with that. But I would definitely encourage her to apply for agreements because regardless of the relationship, be it personal, platonic, or professional, like you can't assume because we had sex, you're responsible for what we made. Like that's not what happened. Now you have literally frivolously put yourself in a position to fornicate. And now your fornication, by way of how you practice your faith, has put you in a position to be judged. And if you go tell the wrong people, they're going to judge you some more. Then they're going to give you some advice. I'm not going to tell you that you need to go get married. I'm not going to tell you you need to go abort your baby. And I will not tell you that you need to be feeling sorry for yourself. You need to breathe. Because any kind of stress you might carry in your body affects this child now. And your responsibility now becomes not just for yourself, but for the baby, which in turn I suggest that you put yourself first. A lot of parents have this mommy guilt, daddy guilt. I got to not eat until my baby can eat. But in all honesty, life hits turbulence quite a few times in life. And the roller coaster is how do you move forward in these instances where I would normally tighten up, internalize, and suffocate. You need to breathe. That's the only way to live.
Absolutely.
And to keep this baby in a space where, stress is not a problem and your high risk is no longer an issue because you are breathing and you are consuming the things that are good for you and you are being mindful of what you're doing, he's either going to respect it and step up, somebody going to help you, or you're going to get through it. But either way, all things work in accordance with the grace of those that are called to do this work. And so if you've been called to carry life, it won't be an issue, right? Like there's still the issues of things that you could experience as a mother once you become one, because miscarriages are usually consoled to women and never men.
Right.
No one's ever said, I'm so sorry for your loss.
Right.
But it's something that needs to be happened. But I definitely would encourage her not to assume she's entitled to somebody's resources just because of how she came to have that child.
Right.
Because it's traumatic if you conceive without love.
Right.
It is.
So I've been talking a lot about men and how we have a lack of feelings or understanding or empathy for men's feelings. And in my Facebook group, I kind of like go back and forth with people all the time. Even like on the previous show, we were talking about like how, this is just my opinion, how I feel like just in the world, a lot of times people just don't give a damn about how a man feel. So you had said something earlier, like let's say how she just mentioned you have a miscarriage. We talk to the woman because it's a grieving process. Have you ever heard of any man that somebody talked to, or he might have told you like, man, my girl, she had a miscarriage? Like, are men bothered by women having miscarriages if they wanted to have a baby?
I think we're a little bit ignorant to the whole scenario. And it's not so much that we don't care or no one talks to us. We don't really understand the whole process that a person has lived and passed away inside your body, and the emotions that it's caused you, we don't get it. We've never felt it. And until someone sits us down and makes that clear to us, we won't be able to empathize because we can't give what we don't have. It's trying to get like it's trying to get like blood from a turnip. It's not going to happen. We don't have it to give. Now, once we're taught and we understand what's going on, we can actually empathize quite well, because me knowing that, in hindsight, I think about situations that I've been in, and I feel very bad about being careless and like just callous about the way I was moving and dealing with people, not realizing that I was putting them through some very traumatic and like life-changing situations. But I'm a kid just living fast, and it never clicked till after it was already over.
Okay.
Can I say something real quick?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm listening to you speak, and I'm thinking about the poets coming. And I'm just like, in poetry spaces, it's the one space that we can say whatever we want to with our freedom of speech, and we can deliver these messages. And a lot of women have been saying, protect black women, right? How do you do that? But then we got poets who come in and they remind us to protect black men. She asked you about being consoled, and like, do you know of any spaces of that happening? And still you come from the space of being nurturing and protective, and it's beautiful because you're showing us how you think and how you operate as a man. But I know that my father felt my brother kick before my mother lost her baby, before I was born. And in that capacity, there are men who know that life has been created and they have felt it. And that has got to be the most
Touching.
the most devastating experience, to know that not only has God called for you to produce this life in this woman, but something didn't happen.
Yeah, it makes us feel weak.
But let me tell you something. In that whole protect black women thing, working in America right now is very difficult for black women. I have no idea the lived experience of black men, and I don't know too many who complain about it, because most of the men I know are entrepreneurs. They figured it out. It's not for them, and they're going to figure it out on their own. But for women, it's this, I have to go work somewhere where I can have insurance to usher the insurance of my family, their stability and our security. I got to have life insurance on my spouse. I got to make sure that, if we got to go to the doctor, all these things are taken care of. When a woman finds out that she is going to have a baby, I feel like automatically she needs to have comfort and security, right? Not just this one individual, the dad that's supposed to be responsible, but like the company that she works for needs to take responsibility. That's not the case. They become a liability. And they want to make sure that you have all the little I's dotted and T's crossed, because they don't want to deal with lawsuits. But I don't think black women especially have the support that's needed working here, simply because they don't understand what their symptoms really are. As a lover, as a spouse, as a friend, as a mate, as the father of their child, y'all got to pay attention to how she's acting, because if she's working for a company for 8 to 10 hours a day and she's not feeling like having sex, she's not in the mood of being romantic, she's not showing you affection, that's the first sign that she is stressed out.
Definitely.
And if you're used to her initiating, and I live in a space where I'm not supposed to initiate nothing. I've never had to. And so, I can be responsive and receptive in my submission, but to take advantage and initiate makes me a little too assertive. And I'm always going to be seen as, that's my trauma, right? And so, like, working, and if you're working and you're not having a good experience, and this fake HR doesn't listen when someone is talking to you aggressively or commenting on your clothes, it changes the experience. But I'm very concerned about pregnant women right now who work, because their job load is so ridiculous. We're in peak right now if you work in transportation and lifting boxes or driving trucks or doing admin work and customers are calling, cussing you out. That is so stressful. Yeah. What happens when you get stressed?
Your blood pressure rises up.
High. Your blood pressure rises, your cortisol raises, and your baby sustains all types of hardship. I don't think I've ever heard anybody talk about how a miscarriage takes place. And I won't be ignorant and say that I know the exact way everyone has happened, but I do know stress and trauma are affecting people's pregnancy and the duration of it. There's an organization called the Brown Egg, and they talk about gestational death and the things that women of color, experience being pregnant. And so while this great topic came in, how can we not talk about the fact that we were all sustaining life? And so to protect black men, you're not responsible for every single thing taking place, but take responsibility,
right.
At the same time, to black women, you deserve to enjoy your experience. And if you're not say something, find a black man who would listen. You know, go on Troll for Life and tell your story, or come on here and lay it on the line, because there's so much power in us using our voices and talking about it, because otherwise we're going to keep complaining about why you don't take up, you know, responsibility.
As a black man who may have not had the best, like, example set, what is some advice that a black woman could give that we could be more supportive? Because I would like to be, but like I said, you can't do something you've never seen. So you could say, well, I'm going to be a more positive man. Have you ever seen a positive man and how he handles a woman? Like, do you know what the woman needs? Do you know what she wants?
My daddy wasn't positive. He found Jesus. I'm telling you, but I think one thing that you can do is ask less questions and make more statements. And in that, don't wait till she gets home and takes her shoes off and then say, how your day? Or how was your day? Or how did this go? Because in all honesty, you could have asked her that on her break. And reminded her, I can't wait till you get home. Or I can't wait to see you this evening. Or, you know, look forward to it, because it gives her hope that she's not just wasting her time. She's grinding these 8 to 10 hours, and she gets to get home to you. Or if y'all don't cohabitate yet, she gets to look forward to, you know, getting to you. Totally less questions, though, because asking questions is a trigger. It puts you in that rabbit hole of don't ask nobody else what's wrong. Tell me something good, right? Like, tell me something that
Give me some
feels good.
solutions.
I'm telling you. But in all honesty, you know, because your person spends 8 to 10 hours with the same group of people,
They know you better.
they don't necessarily know you better. They got access to you
Right.
and all them energies.
Right.
I want to know about Tom. Is Tom still married to Sue? Is Sue still, you know, going through chemo? What's going on with Tom?
get
Because
to
his
know the people
energy,
around you.
let's tell Tom to breathe. Everybody take a deep breath. Slowly exhale. Because otherwise, we're just walking around like zombies, not utilizing the resources. Like,
That's true.
I got access to beautiful people. I know some of the greatest ones, and you're going to see them on Tuesday. But if we don't have the conversation, if you don't ask, how can I be more supportive to you, then all you do is assume you have nothing to do or contribute.
That's true.
What I want to contribute to that question that you had, I think we have to go a little bit deeper than that. I think that a lot of men, they don't put self-worth. You know, like for us women, I'm going to just speak for myself. I feel like, yeah, I'm
You said a lot.
you know, I'm
You
like,
said
That's a lot.
You said a lot.
like, I think I'm all that. People like, oh, you think you're all that? Yes,
Yes,
I
I
do
do.
think I know that I'm all that. So it's a certain type of man that I feel like if you're not on the same level to where we can get up and keep getting on a higher level, then I just feel like you should know better than to approach me.
Absolutely.
And I think a man should be the same way. Like if you know that you're a good dude, you got your good heart, you try to work hard, you're gonna add value to the relationship. Certain type of women should look at you and be like, man, he ain't gonna talk to me because I know that he looking for a woman that's got her head on straight. And it don't have nothing to do with financial, like, oh, he gotta have so much money. But like if you a thug in the street, I'm not into thugs. You know, like I love my life. I don't want to be with somebody that we ride down the street, they gonna circle the block and come back and
You
kill
gotta
me.
leave your seat back all the way past
You know
the
what I'm
window.
saying? So it's like,
I feel
first you have to, one, stop just talking to anybody that's going to talk to you.
Come on now.
You know, you need to make sure that you know, like, okay, what's her background?
Yeah.
Let me talk to you and let me date you. Let me see your family. How did your mama raise you? Did
Come
y'all
on.
go to church every Sunday?
on now.
Did your mama teach you how to pray?
These things
So
matter.
before you
Talk
ever
is-
lay down
They matter.
and have sex with a woman, you need to see if she even on your level, because if y'all break up for whatever reason, that's the woman that's going to raise your child.
Check the
And is that not
Carfax.
the that's
Check
that's
the
the reason why
Carfax.
we need to literally have sex ed return at the level of your capacity and maturity. Because definitely before you even think about an orgasm, your mind needs to have some type of understanding of
And those
exactly
orgasms
what
is
you
going to
said.
confuse your mind.
Man.
Grown, I don't know about men because I'm a woman, but grown women can get their minds all crazy. Like, have you ever seen like a very successful woman went to college, got a degree, got a good job, making good money, but she do the stupidest thing behind
Yeah, I
the
dated
wrong
her.
man.
I dated her for a little while, but
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, one, why are we so in a rush to go have sex? It's a lot of emotions that come with having sex. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But like as a woman and for you as a man, first you got to pick the right woman first that y'all are compatible with. But even still, just trying to get to know the person that you're with, you can sit down and you can have a conversation. And a lot of people need to know it's not so much what you say, it's how you say it. Because some conversations are very hard to have. A lot of things with women, we were taught that it's supposed to be private. So if I'm told that I'm not supposed to talk to nobody about this, how can I be open up to talk to you if you making me feel uncomfortable? You want to be comfortable with the person that you're with. But anyway, I will keep talking
We
and
can
talking
keep
and
talking.
talking, and we on a short, little timer right now. One thing that I want to ask both of you before we wrap it up, let's see how much time we have. We have 5 minutes. So within those 5 minutes, if you could go back to your younger self when you were 18 years old or younger or older, just younger self, and you can take yourself back some advice, what would you advise yourself, your younger you?
To breathe. And when I say breathe, I don't mean huff and puff and get knocked upside your head because you sound like you got an attitude. I mean, like, inhale for 3 seconds, exhale for 7, do it 6 times, 3 times a day. Keep your cup full so when you're in this position, you can get through it and not be in the rabbit hole of, ooh, what do I do now?
I kind of think of like that's how I wrote my music. That's when I became OGC. I went from being C No Brown to OGC because I was talking to my younger self and trying to kind of school him on what you're trying to be and what it really is. It's like you're a king, but you don't know how a king treats himself and should be treated.
Right.
So that's why people are mistreating you because you're misleading them with your actions. If you carry yourself like a king, they will follow suit. And that's what the young man needs to know, like from nigga to king. Like don't just fall into that being my nigga. Learn to be their king, and then they will treat you like your majesty instead of like an inmate.
Right, right. I've said those, well, not all of those words, but I've said those exact words to my son. And it's basically like when he's going on a job. I say, just because, like, you work in a fry machine, working at Whataburger, doesn't mean that that's all you're capable of. You can go to work and you still need to have your uniform on clean. You need to have your hair trimmed nice. Because when you walk in there as a fry man today, you need to let them know that I'm still ready to take orders at the front window.
Absolutely.
Like people, you have to teach them how to treat you. So if they see a bum walking in here, they're going to treat you like a bum.
Exactly.
They already see a young black man. But if they see you walking in with confidence, your chest sticking out, your pants starched down, your hair all shaved on you, they're going to treat you with more of a level of respect. So how you want to be treated is in your presentation as well. All right, so before we go, I just want to go ahead and remind you guys that we have so much more to come. This show is not going to air before Tuesday, so I would mention
It
what
was
we
so
have
dope,
going
y'all.
on.
I wish you was here.
I
Next
appreciate
Tuesday.
you all because I don't really get a chance to speak with a lot of positive black women and find out how you all think. So aside from everything, I appreciate the audience for y'all input, but I definitely appreciate you two beautiful black women for just letting us know how the other side think. Let's start there because it hit different.
Likewise.
Yeah. So go ahead and give us your contact information. I know that you're an artist. What do you have next? Where can we find you? And how can we follow and support you?
Well, can be found on IG at OGC_NO. Nothing is capitalized because I don't like to make it difficult for people. And we working on a lot of things. I'm with Trill for Life Radio, and I'm actually working with my man, Mr. Good Game Tony, and we got some stuff in the oven right now. I ain't gonna let no rabbits out the hat or talk about no eggs before they hatch, but some good things are coming, and I just ask people to stay tuned.
Okay, okay. And Miss Tiffany, where can we find you next?
Well, Tuesday, what's that, the 19th? We'll be back here?
Yes.
Okay, so Rhythm and Poetry at the Hip Vault. I'll be here. You can keep up. I would suggest that because there's plenty to go back and look at, but moving forward, it's going to be real nice and smooth.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and upload all the video that we have from our performance on this Tuesday at the Hit Vote. It's going to be with Trill for Life Radio, Lay It on the Line. You guys stay tuned. And as she mentioned as well, we will have another show on the 19th. And I'm also working towards having our live studio audience here before the end of the year. We're going to go out with a bang, Trill for Life Radio, and Lay It on the Line. But thank you guys. Thank you guys for joining. I appreciate everything.
Thank you for the invitation.
Next time we'll see you. Lay It on the Line.